Salubana Nogemakai and welcome to this week's episode of Scars with Nokwethaba. Well, this is a show that celebrates and embraces the power of survival and victory. Mina ke nguNokwethaba kaZulu Mangcobo and I am your host. On today's episode, we'll be chatting with Noni, the designer, who was able to turn her scars into stars by owning her own story. Sawubona Noni. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I know I've been saying this, but I think I'll have to say it again. I love your hair.
Thank you.
And your dress, the skirt.
It's a skirt. Yeah, and I made it.
And you made it. Wow, it's so nice. So basically, the paper that you're carrying is white.
Yes.
So by this paper, it represents pureness. It represents this is you before the scar. Yeah, because you were pure, you didn't know that whatever that happened to you was going to happen. Yeah. So can you please introduce yourself to us so that we can be able to relate to you and your story?
Okay, so my name is Noni Mohoto, and I am a fashion designer by profession, a mother, student, woman, yeah. But yeah, like you said, the color white represents purity.
Yes.
It represents light, it represents a beginning, it represents all these beautiful things. And at a young age, I'm not going to say I was a happy-go-lucky child, but I was very quiet and reserved, as I still am in some aspects. But I grew up in a home where I was loved, raised by my grandmother, and so I was exposed to purity because she had a very pure soul, and so she epitomized for a long time what I thought the world was. I thought if I leave the house and go next door, I'm going to find a replica of her, but it turns out that that's not how life is.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself at even a young age of 5, 8, being exposed to things that no child should ever.
So you said you're a designer by profession, but also a student. Are you further in your studies on design or doing something else?
Something else, doing business, studying here.
Oh, okay, that's great. Yes, guys, this is Noni. We are still here. After the break, she will take us through her scar. Stay tuned. Please don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Scars with Nokwethaba, and we are still here chatting with Noni, the designer. Noni, we are so privileged to have you today because, you know, a lot of people find it hard to come out and show their scars because they don't know how other people will react. So that's why I need to Tina, appreciate her, and we are privileged to have you today, and we are willing to listen and learn from your story. So can you please take us through your scar?
So my scar is based around loss. And loss is everyone's sort of bag or baggage that everyone will have to carry at one point or another. But when I mentioned earlier that at a young age you know go through things that maybe no kid should ever go through. At 5 years old, I lost my mother. 5 years. So 5 years into life and nurturing, that was cut off. And I think that was a start of a ripple effect of many other things that contributed to pain. And the loss of pain of loss. I mean, yeah. So I lost my mom at 5.
So you said you were raised by your grandmother?
Yeah, I was raised by my grandmother.
After the loss of her mom?
Yes.
Okay.
And then at around 9 years old, suffered an abuse from a neighbor. And I think at 9 years old, you're still a kid.
Yes,
and that's loss of innocence. So there's a loss of nurturing and love and a mother's care, and then there's a loss of your own innocence because now here you are. What is this that I don't know, that I'm being pushed into. And so that takes your own conscience into another thing that maybe you as a kid are not supposed to be understanding or exposed to at that point. But then I guess with many things in life, life goes on. I lost the very matriarch of my own life, my grandmother. I think I was doing grade 9.
Sorry, you mentioned something about being abused by the neighbor?
Yes.
What kind of abuse? Like
sexual abuse. Yes.
Sexual abuse. Can you take us through how?
I don't know if I'm brave enough to go into detail, but I think even with the current times that we're living in, you see there's a lot of gender-based violence talks and like everything going on. And now everybody's up in arms, but then now I'm 30 years old, and if I have to look back, that's many years ago. So this is something that has already been happening in our society, you know. And somehow people found a way to maneuver around it and not get caught and whatever. Yeah. But the more things are not addressed, the more they perpetuate, you know.
Yes,
hence,
and you're here addressing
you know what I mean? So at some point, I guess you have to talk about it and say, such a thing happened to me, not so much for I'm sorry from the next person, but to make people aware that these are the kinds of things that do happen.
Yes. So going back to your grandmother.
Yeah, and then I lost my grandmother still at a young age. I think 14 years old. Then you're in your teens. You're still trying to find yourself. And the one symbolism or the one person who actually helps you center yourself and then is taken away from you. So then you go into all sorts of depressions and like a loss of your own identity. Hence, like I said, the ripple effect of your scar. It's a loss of identity. Now I don't know who I am because the person who was helping me find myself in the world is no longer there.
And you also lost your purity to a stranger.
Exactly. And so I think I feel like from then, the depression set in for many years without being aware or not knowing what it was. And having to deal with something you don't know. People around you also get tired and they think, this person's crazy or whatever the case may be.
True, because we know that in the black communities we really don't acknowledge depression because some of us don't even know what depression
is.
Can you explain to us, like in your own understanding, what depression is?
I can only take it from how I experienced it.
Yes.
Very much it drove me into isolation. I think I wanted to spend a lot of time by myself and not want to be around other people. And even when I did allow myself to be in a space where there's other people, it was forced and you could feel it. And it was draining and you almost feel like you're detached to your own soul or whatever the case may be. I don't even know how to explain it. So that was my experience with it, and for a long time. And when you're around people who don't understand or who don't know what's happening with you, it's gonna go deeper because now there's no one willing to be patient enough to understand what it is that's going on with you.
So in the process of isolation, like when as an individual, like because you isolate yourself, right? Then when you are depressed, like what are the signs? When we are
sleep a
talk
lot.
to yourself, or like I'm trying to understand.
You sleep a lot. I used to sleep a lot. I wanted myself in as dark as possible as I don't know, like the room must be dark and I must be asleep for many hours on end. This is disgusting, but you go days without bathing, like all those kind of things, And now I can talk about it, but initially, and I would imagine for somebody else who cares about you that sees it, it's like, what's going on with this person? So you're seeing someone alive, but they're dead in a way. You see them deteriorating, and now looking back, I think now I understand. It's okay. That's what was going on.
Okay, we are still chatting with Noni. Please stay tuned. See you after this break. social media, Scars with Nokwethaba on Instagram and Facebook. We are still here chatting with Noni the designer. Previously, she was sharing her scar, but right now I'm sure you are here at home looking at us like, Noni, please tell us, how did you overcome all of this? Because these days we know that a lot of people are drove to death by depression, but she's here with everything that she has lost and survived. Noni, oh, okay, that red card that you're holding, you're explaining your scar because you're explaining how you felt at that time. So now we are moving from the red card to the blue card. Yeah. So the blue card represents the power of survival, it represents the strength, it represents the stability, you know. Njengobusho now ukuthi your scar happened, you were started at 5-year-old, but now you're a 30-year-old. So that means you were able to survive all those years. Yabo. So for someone ohleli lapha ekhaya obukelile ofuna ukwazi ukuthi okay wena wenze kanjani ungathini?
I'll take it back a little, Guti. I know I've been I experienced, sexual abuse and whatever. The sexual abuse, the thing with trauma is that it finds a place, like it becomes dormant in your system just as a person. And the vivid memories of that abuse came back to me when I was pregnant with my son, and I was 25 at the time. And they came back to a point where I'm in a state of pregnancy and I have to give birth to a human being, and I have to deal with these traumas and memories. And so I can say I've overcome particularly that, in a sense that now I'm someone's mother. And so I deal with whatever I come across and with love, you know what I mean? And I'm raising a son having come from a traumatic experience inflicted on me by a man. How will I take that experience, set it aside, and love my son without without marrying the two, but understanding that he's his own individual, and what happened to me was unfortunate, but it doesn't necessarily fall on to him. So with all the traumas that I've gone through, yes, there's been counseling and all sorts of things to try and get yourself, you know what I mean? But you get to a point where you understand yourself better. You look back and realize that this is going to sound like harsh, but somebody had to go through it so that there's a story like this today. Yeah. And it's painful and it's unfortunate to have to lose. You know, a lot of people are close to their mothers, and mothers are great for the most part. Not that toxic mothers don't exist, but to not have had the opportunity to experience that, it doesn't go away, but then you understand for yourself. And when you're given an opportunity to be someone's mother yourself, that's also a victory in itself. Yeah.
So your son's life per se changed your life. So like ngiyazibuza ukuthi, okay, because there's all these things happened when you were young, and then you gave birth to your son in 25. So does that mean depression is something that builds up for like a period of time until you actually acknowledge it and heal it? Or is it a disease that, I don't know if it's even a disease, or is it a condition? Like, can something happen to me now and I say I'm depressed? Or is it gonna be like, okay, it happens today and then time passes and then I feel depressed?
There's no definite answer, because we're all built differently. Our resilience is different, the way we see things and the way we see life. And so it is a medical condition. That's why it's put under like mental disorders and stuff like that, because it's something that does affect your psyche to a certain extent. Okay. And so it won't be the same for everyone. I think with me it was a build-up, and I was more susceptible because already I was a very reserved person, and so a lot of things I kept inside already, even at a young age. And so that's why it became a build-up for me. But if you were to go through a traumatic experience today, maybe you'd be able to wake up tomorrow feeling like, oh no, I can face the world, but only to find within the next 5 years or after 5 years, it's something that comes back and and the trauma of the actual event, only able to deal with it then, because that's when you yes. Yeah.
So what I'm taking from this conversation is that it is important to to talk about certain things with people you trust, I guess, for your own healing. Because from what you're saying is that bo reserved, bo isolated, bo ngakhulumi ngayo. But then now that you actually had a chance to talk about it, yaphuma ngesizulu sithi yagonyuluka, like it came out from you. Thank you so much, Noni, for coming and sharing your story. We appreciate it a lot. You know, I'm motivated and I'm inspired, hoping that even people who are watching this show, they are, because these days we've lost so many souls, so many souls at a young age, because of depression, because of loss, because of not knowing how to face the world. But now that you came here, for sure there's that two life watching, and will be completely changed by this conversation. Thank you so much for watching Scars with Nokwethaba. That's the only thing that we have today. We'll see you right here next week. Stay tuned.